It's a Tuesday edition here on Zero Block 30, and today we have 3 rounds of the magazine. Round number 1, the President Mexico is in his conspiracy theory bag, hosting the Mexican version of the Bigfoot. He is in office posting all kinds of conspiracy stuff. We're going to take a look at why and what this thing is that he saw. Round number 2, are we living in a nanny state? The military is going out of its way to make sure troops aren't fat, and they stop buying guns until they are 25 years old. And finally, round number 3, a toddler went missing in the swamps of Florida, and we've got a wonderful story of the Marine veteran who saved him. You're going to hear all of that, and it's brought to you by our good friends at BetterHelp. If you haven't tried BetterHelp in a long time, you need to. I love BetterHelp. I've been using them for about a year and a half now, long time. I have the same therapist there. I love that therapist. They're great. His name's David. He's awesome. If you're getting to know yourself, it can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Therapy is always about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we walk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery wherever you are. If, like I said, all of us are in therapy, we are doing it. We have done it for a long time. We've said that it's like the brain dentist. There's nothing wrong with going. And in fact, I would say there's something wrong if you're not going to therapy at this time. Wow. You need to go to therapy. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/zero today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/zero. All right, so Kate, you got pretty excited whenever you saw this story. I never heard of this mythical creature before. Have you guys?
No, I think every country has its own mythical creatures. Yeah. Like probably Mexico, they're not super into what the Yeti is, you know?
Right.
Or, yeah. You know, I'm sure.
Well,
China
this does remind me of that story many years ago in Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, we'll get to that. Oh, yeah, don't you worry. That's in there. But yeah, so this is from the Associated Press. Mexico's president posted a photo on his social media accounts Saturday showing what he said appeared to be a mythical woodland spirit similar to an elf. What's that sound?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh my God, it's one of the elves.
Oh.
It's one of the elves. I can hear it crinkling through the woods right now.
Okay.
This must have been what he saw. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador did not seem to be joking when he posted the photo of an alux, A-L-U-X-E, a mischievous woodland spirit in Mayan folklore.
Oh, I love Mayan folklore.
Yes.
If there's ever, Cons, I know you're a big Jeopardy guy. If there's anything ever ancient Mexican related,
okay, turn off the fucking woods.
My wife says Inca, and I say Mayan to see.
Yeah,
which one
it's every time.
Or occasionally we'll throw in an Aztec. Occasionally, but usually Mayan and Inca is where we go.
Yeah.
Well, someone's playing something.
Is it a flute?
Oh my God! I thought you guys were fucking with me. I forgot that I had the Eagle cam up on my.
What?
What? What are you talking about right now?
What?
I'm sorry. I have this live feed of an eagle I keep up 24/7 on my laptop in Big Bear, California. And she just started squawking.
Oh.
And so as I was talking to you, I started to hear the sounds of the forest, like birds chirping. And then I started to hear like a wow, wow.
Oh, is that why you asked what noise that was?
Yeah.
And I thought that was part of the story.
No, I thought you guys were fucking with me. And then I was like, all right, that's enough. Turn it off. But I thought you kept it playing.
No, I thought whenever you had that pause, you were waiting us to do an elf noise. And I was like, I don't know what an elf sounds like. You're going to have to take the lead.
Oh, I had an eagle cam up. Pardon me.
Eagle goofing, yeah.
Eagle goofing. Here we go. Should I just keep going?
Yeah, go.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So President Lopez Obrador wrote the photo was taken 3 days ago by an engineer. It appears to be an alux, adding everything is mystical. Ooh. So the photo itself is night vision. So it's like black and white, that black and white kind of thing, like you'd see in a deer stand photo. Those night like woodsman photos. And
that elf definitely has a Babadook vibe.
It's way high up in a tree. It looks to have this like white halo of hair. and 2 glowing eyes. It's very creepy looking.
It's creepy as heck.
Very creepy.
Yeah. Lopez Obrador has long expressed reverence for indigenous cultures and beliefs. Engineers and workers are in the Yucatan Peninsula. And remember, that's that Mexico goes down all the way around into like a little hook
Baja,
shape.
California.
No, not even close.
Oh, not even that.
No, other way.
Down, yeah.
The other
I would say
hook,
the
big
Yucatan
hook.
Peninsula, the #1 named peninsula in the world.
It's where
Wow.
Cancun's right at the tip of it down there. Anyway,
You guys ever go to Cancun?
Oh, yeah.
No, never been. But engineers right now are working on this giant tourist train that goes from like Tulum to Cancun to all the major beach towns and then into the forests of the Yucatan and then up and around.
That would be awesome.
And it's kind of his pet project. It's a very poor rural area outside of these main beach resorts.
Yeah.
And it sits on the largest aquifer in the world. And so people are saying your pet project is destroying all this native land and all of our rainforests, and they're destroying. I was looking into it, like huge swaths of land, and it's
now I feel like an asshole for saying that sounds awesome.
It might contaminate the aquifer,
ruining
blah,
the
blah,
whole fucking world.
But it's a 950-mile inner city railway around the Yucatan Peninsula. Now, others are saying, though, it could be great for the economy, connecting all these rural towns, blah, blah. So who knows?
I'll still go. If they do it, the aquifer's fucked already, and I'm on my way.
But some people were saying, oh, how hypocritical, or not hypocritical, but how interesting that you see this, like a native Lux elf in this tree when you're the one, they're down there destroying this area because of you, kind of thing. So people were saying he was playing it up.
Mm-hmm.
But those engineers better watch out because Luxes are wily little creatures. They're prone to playing tricks on people and they like hiding things. So watch your Humvee keys. Okay.
You know what this thing sounds like? Elf on the Shelf.
It's like an elf. They're very much like an elf on the shelf. Some people leave small offerings to appease them. And so this is what the president of Mexico is tweeting out. Oh my God, look at this Yucatan elf. Look at these elves, LOL. Meanwhile, nearly 500,000 people, or maybe even more, gathered in Mexico City on Sunday to condemn. He's making moves. Whatever. I just butchered that.
Do you guys remember who the politician is that really was a Bigfoot hunter? That happened, right? Like there was somebody in the United States that was a big Bigfoot guy and people made fun of him.
Yes, there was. I forget who it was, but he did he wrote Bigfoot erotica is what it was.
Oh yeah.
He wrote Bigfoot erotica and he was running for like mayor of some small town. I think he won. I don't know. He may have won.
Denver Riggleman? Does that sound familiar?
Oh yeah, he was an actual congressman. He didn't just run. That was like a US representative.
Yeah.
Well, the Mexican president and his cronies are making moves to shrink the electoral authority. And a lot of Mexican people are saying that's a huge threat to our democracy. So nearly 500,000 people were gathered in Mexico City to protest him this weekend while he's like, look at the elves, LOL.
He's just trying to do like a shell game. Like, hey, don't worry about all that corruption over there.
Right.
Look at this elf right here.
Yeah.
Look at the rabbit.
And lest we forget Mobile, Alabama, this March will mark 17 years since residents alerted the world to the Irish leprechaun in the United States. I've looked up this, like, where are they now? Or like, how did this story come to be kind of news story? This is how it went down. WPMI TV was alerted to large crowds gathering in Crichton, this area of Mobile, Alabama, back on March 14th of nearly 20-something years ago. And reporter Brian Johnson went to investigate. Things sort of snowballed, he said, when the crew arrived. And literally, he said, we were called there because of a gathering. They didn't know why. People were just like, you need to get down here. There's like hundreds of people starting to gather in this neighborhood. Something's going on. So they get there expecting, like, is there like a riot? Are people rioting or protesting something? Like, what's happening? And it was, no, we've seen a leprechaun in a tree. And that led to the viral goal. Someone drew a sketch of what many witnesses say the leprechaun looked like. The amateur sketch is viral. It's on shirts everywhere now. And the original sketch later auctioned on eBay for $1,000, which WPMI donated.
I bet if they put that thing up now, what do you think? More. I bet 50 grand.
Yeah, that's about right, maybe.
To have some weirdo with a lot of money that's in like the tech community that would want that on their wall.
Can you imagine anybody just about in and around our age, if you walked into their house and they had that framed on the wall?
The original?
That would be, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely
That'd be the
huge.
greatest talking piece ever.
You could argue that our generation would be more impressed with that than if you had like a Warhol.
Whatever you say. Yes.
Yes. I'd be
100%.
very impressed with that. I love the
100%.
thought of someone having it on their wall. All the money went to charity.
23-year-old Kate walks in and she sees the leprechaun on the wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're
absolutely.
Yeah.
Not even a question. So,
do you guys have a favorite part of that video?
I always thought it was Cameron at first because they have the same kind of vibe.
Yeah.
No? All right.
No.
What about you, Cons? Obviously you do.
Yeah.
I think just when he screams, "Who all seen the leprechaun?" Say, "Yeah." I mean, that's just
the main part.
Yeah,
everybody's excited. The St. Patrick's Day gets everybody hyped.
You know what that just sounded like? That sounded like LeBron carrying around the Godfather. It's like, what's your favorite part? Like, yeah, the whole thing, man. It's great.
Yeah, the entire,
What's your favorite part about the Bible?
The entire
the
thing.
miracle thing. I love the miracle.
Oh, miracles in there are so good. The kindness. Yeah, it's all great. But anyway,
I'm sorry, the guy talking about his flute that was handed down by his great-great-granddaddy. Yeah.
Yep. I love that too. But it just goes to show we're not the only one with the president who gets a little goofy from time to time. You know,
that's exactly right.
Nice reminder.
All right, let's move on to round number 2. There's a little bit of nanny state going on. I'm sure a lot of people will disagree. There's a lot of problems that are going on in the military. Of course, we all know about the suicide epidemic. We know about people getting fat. We know that there is all kinds of recruiting problems. Well, there's a report that came out from the DOD, and we went to the Military Times, and they kind of summarized what's going on base. And one of the main things that they're looking at is there has been a higher proportion of troops now that are gaining weight, that are more overweight than in years past. They're struggling to get the fitness test going. They went like 2.5 years without any fitness test at all. Now they're having to draw that back and see if people can pass. And they're coming up with all these different reasons why people aren't passing this test. And one of the reasons why is they say that AAFES is fucking people, right, Catherine?
Yeah. So, long line of health and fitness tests throughout. The first one, 1906, Teddy Roosevelt mandated the first Army physical fitness test. And now the newest one is the Army's Health and Holistic Fitness Program. And this Military Times, I don't know if it's an op-ed or what, but they're saying it's going to fail too. That AAFES continues to pollute our soldiers' bodies, and it's time to put readiness over profit. So whoever wrote this is saying, you know, if you're going to have these programs, then you need to pay attention to what the stores on base are selling. So today's active duty forces abuse alcohol 20% more than the general population.
I would have thought it was more.
Yep. Smokes 50% more, has a 17% obesity rate despite access to nutritionists, gyms, and wellness centers. And what about the Army lifestyle explains how America's healthiest 1% can join the Army only to become so unhealthy. What explains the 0 to 17% transformation in obesity from recruit to soldier? That is crazy. I will say this. A lot of these military bases are in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
A lot of young troops.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young troops are, so people, a military base has, like, I picture the little mini bases within the base where people live, because there's huge ranges as little towns. And some of those little towns, I remember some of the spots you could be stationed on Camp Pendleton were like 45 minutes from leaving the base. Say you're a young troop, you don't have a car, which most don't, and you're stuck in your barracks. What the fuck else are you gonna do? Like, most of the time we drank and sat around smoking because we were bored as fuck, and we literally had nowhere else to go. There was nothing to do. So I don't know if the answer is like, get better programs for them to do shit on the weekends. Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know about that, but I'm curious. What's the Uber situation? Like, are Ubers? No, you can't. I mean, I'm not
probably base by base, but I knew you could have Uber or taxi. Like, there's a different. There's authorized taxi universe that are on bases, because even when I go to Fort Sam Houston now, like, because my wife was there, she had to do a procedure where she was going to be in the emergency room or wherever for like 12, 13 hours. So I was going to order her food to bring it there so she could step outside and grab it. They're like, nah, man, Uber can't go on base. Are you crazy? Like, no, Lyft can't come on here. We have authorized taxi services because they do background checks and all that kind of shit. But Uber, you can't do it.
Yeah, so sorry, I just say that because it furthers the point. It's like you're more or less stuck unless somebody has a vehicle.
Yeah, and I could be fully wrong about that. That could just be Fort Sam Houston that could do that.
No, it probably is. It probably does vary base by base. And certainly if they're smaller installations, maybe you could walk to the gate and get an Uber there, and it's a little more
I'm sure that there is things to do about it, but once you're, like Kate's saying, if you're living in the barracks and you only get $800 a month after your pay is done and they take all this, you don't have time or the money to be going to Uber Eats, even if that shit was allowed.
Right.
But overall, with this, and that's really all we have to do is the report is this. There's a bunch of people that are overweight. I think if you're in the military now, you know that it's a higher percentage. I don't think they need to do a complete overhaul, because if you want a beef jerky, you want a fucking Butterfinger, you want a Monster, you're serving your country, you should be able to have those things. I think keep everything that they have and then add some affordable, healthy options to all these different types of shopettes and shit.
I would also argue, though, like, I remember the advertisements for energy drinks, tobacco, and alcohol all over base at the AFES, where it was directed hard at the lower enlisted man. Like, I remember they used to send, I don't know how they got on base, but chewing tobacco reps, hot women, they would send them through the barracks, like door-to-door salesmen, getting these guys to do
that. Should like, probably be banned. Like,
it's probably banned. It probably was. They probably snuck on and were doing, but like, people knew exactly who to target and target hard. I think maybe the targeting of this group and like pushing this shit on them and like whatever, I
like
can
the
see
food version
that.
of high interest loans for Mustangs.
And they say, like, in major cities, an increase in soda prices of just 1 cent per ounce has reduced consumption by 22%. I remember in Philly when they had like the soda tax and people were like, blah, 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 but it actually did lower consumption. Through price adjustments, AFES can help us choose healthy options in their stores. So they're saying, like, make the unhealthier shit a little more pricey or something. But some will argue that banning these products is akin to punishing soldiers who already work long hours in tough conditions.
Yeah, I don't think you can ban them. I think that's wrong to ban them. I just think you need to offer other options and also educate them on, basically what they're doing to themselves by consuming all this stuff. Now, granted,
they know
educated about it. Yeah,
I think they need more shit to do.
To ignore that. Yeah.
We smoked and drank and got into trouble because we were just bored as fuck, man. That's
you have the alcohol
end all
awareness. You have tobacco cessation. You have all those different types of training already. I would bet you if they got rid of those training, you might have less. Like, because a lot of times troops will be like little kids with their dad or mom tells them to do something, like, fuck that, I'm not going to do that shit. I'm going to go smoke and I'm going to go drink. That's what I did. I was fucking ripping heaters and chugging down Hornsby's.
I just think, like, there's if the troops and soldiers and Marines want to get these things, they're going to get them. Because I just think, like, going to the field for like 2 weeks and soldiers would bring these backpacks just full of all their, quote unquote supplies, which is all the Monster drinks, all their tobacco, because obviously they wouldn't be able to leave the field. So they would need it while they're out there. So they're going to find a way. So I think you need to offer those alternatives. I don't know if that means they're going to start eating healthy or what, but
I think because the marketing has been so successful at saying this is part of your culture as a soldier, this is part of your culture, right? Like, marketing just nailed it, and then now we're seeing the consequences of it. And also have more activities for them. Damn it! I feel like back in the day in Pendleton, if they're like, "Hey, Saturday morning, there's going to be a bus here. It's going to take you all and teach you how to surf," I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm down.
You know what? You're absolutely
right. We're going to go hiking in the mountains this weekend. You don't have to go, but listen, we have our most fun sergeant that actually makes people motivated leading the way. Like, whatever. I know people don't always
want to someone. You say MWR like that.
But the MWR is just a bunch of computers and like nobody actually.
She's right.
Shit.
She's right. You need to get people in your unit who are into these sorts of things. Like who's my NCO?
Not
who really
a base
likes to
thing,
hike?
but a unit specific.
Yes, unit specific. I feel like it ultimately falls on the units.
Like patrol base abate for individual units.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. But you need people within the units, because if it's managed by anybody else, there's just going to be zero interest, and you're not going to be successful with it.
I bet if you took out leaders and you said, hey, if you guys want to go shoot on civilian range, like rent out a civilian range for a weekend, you're like, hey, we're going to go shoot. Like, we'll bring some of the military weapons and all that kind of stuff, where you have the ability to train outside of the typical, very stressful environment, because whenever you're on a range there, you're going to have some sergeant first class, some first sergeant, one of your bosses behind you, making you feel a little nervous. Sometimes if you go in more relaxed environments, you might perform a little bit better. Speaking of weapons, another one of the ways that they're trying to mitigate some of the things that are happening on base, and look,
suicides,
right? And I was going to say that, like, we've talked extensively about suicide. We're very passionate about things like mental health care, going to behavioral health, all those different things. However, that being said, I don't think you can isolate a group of people who signed up to do sometimes violent things. And not only that, but they love weapons. Like, people in the military primarily love weapons. If you can't stop them from getting it off base, in my opinion, you shouldn't do it on base, because the regulations are going to be exactly followed to the T on base. They're going to do the background checks. They're going to do the red flags. They're going to do all that stuff. And they're going to know almost everything about you if you're going to buy it on base. What do you guys think?
This is what's going on. It's a suicide prevention committee established by the Pentagon last year. They did all the research and they're like, by our best, looking at the civilian world, looking at all across the board, this is what helps: instituting a waiting period for gun purchases on bases and raising the minimum age for buying firearms in an attempt to reduce the number of suicides among service members. And time again, one of the biggest factors, remember for a while, I was going and joining all those talks by experts in the field saying one of the biggest factors in suicides, especially because troops have such a high number of guns, is guns. And for those who don't have them, they tend up having more time. It's, long story short, guns are a huge factor in military and veteran suicides, and that is a problem. So they're trying to do something about it. It's increased steadily over the last 15 years. So they want to have a 7-day waiting period for gun purchases on DoD facilities and a 4-day waiting period for ammo. There's scientific evidence showing that even as short as a 7-day waiting period significantly reduces suicide rates.
I'm
significantly.
okay with the waiting period. I am not okay with the age being different than it is out in town.
Then raising it to 25 years old.
On no planet should military members have less access to weapons than some dude that's going to community college and can go to fucking Walmart to pick up a weapon instantaneously. I think if you're going to trust military members with weapons all the time, you should have at least, at a bare minimum, the same standard as what's going on in the civilian population. Making military members not do it is, to me, I think, is missing the boat.
But I think it is tough, because that is
very
proven
tough
to be one of the biggest factors in these suicides is the gun. So it's like, how can you mitigate it?
Though, like the combination of alcohol and those different things. Like, you can go down all these lists, and obviously the gun is the big part of the suicide scenario. I just don't think that you can put more firm restrictions on military members who are trained on weapons than the average civilian.
I think also too, like, what people don't realize is that guns are only a portion of this. I wholeheartedly agree with everything you both just said about guns, but this also kind of ties back to the previous part of this story that we were talking about, the isolationism and the lack of feeling stimulated outside of work hours and feeling like you're part of something outside of going to work each and every day. You have to foster a better community, because if you look at the statistics of people who commit suicide versus those, communities that have a lower suicide rate, the communities that have a lower suicide rate are more close-knit communities. So I think you need to attack this from more than just like, oh, we need to make it harder to put weapons in the hands of these individuals, and look at the big picture.
And I will give the military credit, because this is just one aspect of this report. They had 127 different points that they looked at, and they recommend a course of action for curbing the suicide epidemic that's going on in the military. So they are doing that type of research. Just this one element of it, I don't necessarily agree with, but this is a great spot to kick it out to the platoon. Those that are listening, I would love to hear your thoughts about this, because a lot of you are still in. Do you believe that the military should restrict people until they're 25 years old of being able to get weapons on base? If that's not the case, what do you think is a good rule to put in place as far as weapons and other things to curb this? I'd love to hear about that. Let's move on to some save rounds and alibis.
No, we have one more round, a very exciting one.
Oh, shit. Yeah, sorry.
We have a very good round. So a young boy named JJ was missing for 24 hours after leaving his home in Central Florida while his parents slept. He left early in the morning, somehow got out the front door until a 911 call came in. We'll get to that in a second. More than 500 volunteers joined law enforcement in search for Joshua J.J. Rowland, trekking deep into the woods and through buggy swamps after he disappeared from Brooksville the morning of February 23rd in a little gray Batman shirt and gray pants. Alongside searching for the 2-year-old on foot, authorities deployed drones, helicopters, canines to track the toddler's scent, and the sheriff's office had updates all over Facebook. I mean, so many people across so many counties were out looking for this boy, but the blonde, curly-haired boy was still missing early morning, February 24th. So 24 hours in the swamps of Florida in the wintertime, it still gets cold at night. At this point, as a parent, I would just be unconsolable.
Yeah.
Then a former Marine who volunteered in the search and is now being hailed as Man of the Year phoned 911. I found him, Roy Link told a dispatcher about JJ in the 911 call. In the background, the toddler is heard calling out for his mother. Link found JJ unharmed in the woods several miles north of his home after the boy spent the night outside. Little JJ climbed onto him and didn't want to let go, said the police. He was so excited to see him. Link said he prayed about 10 minutes before spotting JJ. The good news is that he did not end up in the water and was not abducted. He was found in the woods. He seemed to be fine. And it all started, Link opened, he was in an open field and he chose between pursuing one of the 2 wooded areas on the right and the left. He followed his intuition and he said he used to work for the Parks Department for that county. So he knew the lay of the land better than most people. And he just followed his intuition. He picked the woods on the left and he heard a whimpering about 100 feet away and went towards it. And there was JJ. So just an incredible story. I'm so glad that this Marine stepped up and went out there.
That area, if you haven't been following it along, that area of Florida right now is wildly dangerous. The pythons and anacondas and all that kind of stuff that are around that area are killing alligators, deer. Like, they've looked at it and they've discovered that several species have reduced by about 90% in that area simply because the snakes are biting shit and swallowing it whole.
And the little boy was covered in bug bites, like just looked like he had chicken pox, covered in bug bites and scratches. And that's how old my son is.
Time you went to the Wild Horse Beach, right?
Yeah, Assateague Island, and got drunk and fell asleep on the sand. Yeah, it's a terrible thing. But I just really amazing that these people step up. We were telling the story of the Marine who jumped in the frozen lake in Ohio the other week to save people out of their car. And you never know. When I see things pop up, we had a missing dog in our neighborhood the other day. And after reading the story, I drove around for a little bit. It's like, you never know. Everybody can help and try and find something, but just an incredible story. I'm so glad they found him.
Unfortunately, and you both can attest, I think toddlers can get into some mischief if left unattended. Was there any part of this story I didn't see? Was Child Protective Services looped into any of this and investigate the parents at all?
I don't know. The way it sounded was it was super early in the morning, and the little, like, my son, if he can get an inch higher, he can unlock our door. Like, so we had to put the bolt. We had to install like a bolt slide up higher because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you do that. You put these measures in place because eventually, they're going to be able to get out of places. So.
And it's impossible to think of every single scenario. Right?
Our neighbors, best friends with them. They're still best friends with our family. And they had 2 girls about my age. One was my age. One was like 2 years younger. And one winter, it was snowing out. And like, you could call my dad right now and they'll attest to this story. And we were watching like America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yeah, sorry, hold on one second. Call Mr. Mannion, please.
Yeah, should I call him? But we hear a cry. I'm like, I hear something. I was a little kid. And she must have been maybe 3 or 4 years old, had snuck out of her crib or whatever, I guess you're in a bed by that point, had snuck downstairs and had wanted to play with me. And in her pajamas in the snow, crossed our street. And we were in like kind of a boonies area and came to our back door and was crying in the snow and wanted to play with me. And like, her parents were amazing, great parents, like really great people. And they couldn't believe it. They like could not believe that she was able to do that. So you never know, like, who knows what the situation. I'm assuming CPS like had to look into this and they get into it quick. That's all I'm saying. You never know.
Doing baby
crazy
shit. Yeah.
They do.
All right, let's move on to some save rounds and alibis. Catherine, we'll start with you.
I got nothing.
Again, 2 weeks in a row with nothing. Wow.
Last week I said I had nothing and then I rambled for a bit about who knows what. But this is truly, I'm going to the VA tomorrow to find out why I'm so cold.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
So you told me a little bit before we started recording. Walk the people through what's going on with you, because you're an absolute freak show and a medical marvel.
Yeah, so I've always run on the cold side anyway. So I think I just naturally have like slow circulation or something. But the last few months, it's gotten to a point where I'm actually like miserable 24 hours a day. I cannot get warm enough. And coming to work, especially, I am wearing waffle top, long sleeve, sweater, robe, and my hands are frozen right now. And if you look, like, my lips are blue. And I'm getting these like blue, and people will point out and be like, Kate, your lips are blue right now. And I'm like, yes,
for context, it's 40 degrees outside and sunny. So it's not like, frigid outside.
And she's inside.
And we're inside where the building is heated. Like, and it's to the point where I feel miserable all day because all I can think about is going home to my hot shower. And I sit under the hot shower until I feel like my bones have thethawed. That's
a great feeling, though, I'll tell you what.
Oh, it's such a good shower.
But when it starts, man, those feet tingles.
It burns.
Yeah.
It burns. Yes. But like so Glenny Ball sits next to me at work and he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. The women here are wearing like cute spring dresses already. And I'm like looking at them like, okay, maybe this is just me because I like, it hurts me to even look at them wearing these things. I'm so cold. It's starting to, it hurts. My hands are so cold. It hurts to type on the laptop. My feet are always freezing. I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks. So tomorrow, my poor doctor, I'm going to the VA and he'd be like, please help me not be cold anymore. I'm so fucking cold.
I wonder how often they get those weird kind of ailments. Cause I don't know if I've told you guys that I've noticed that I'm kind of always have my head cocked a little bit to the left.
No, this is new.
When I'm watching TV, I'll notice that my head's left. And even if you watch the YouTube, if you pay attention, my head will be left. So I asked my dentist when I went to get the scaling done a couple weeks ago, I was like, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but is there anything called sideways head? And he was like, sideways head? What do you mean? And I told him basically what I told you. And then I was at the Texas Capitol building like last week or something. And there was a group there. It was like an advocacy day. So I was there for something. And then these people were there for something. It was the Chiropractor Association. And so they were standing out the same representative that I was waiting to go into a meeting. And I went to the chiropractor and my wife knew exactly what I was doing, but I walked over there.
She's like, God damn it.
It was like a big group. I was like, listen, we got the experts here on chiropractic. Is there something as sideways head and should I go get seen? And
they were probably like, yes.
They're like, no, there's nothing called. And I was like, listen, it sounds fucked up when I do it. And they're like, well, don't do that. Like, that's not what
don't twist your head off.
Did you have one of them adjust you, though? You should have somebody adjust you.
No. Right there in the Capitol.
Yeah, but that's my thing.
Well, I'm excited to find out why the hell am I so cold. So
I got to be honest, I'm curious to find out, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like physically, you can physically see it on me. My hands get super red and my lips turn blue. And
you even look a little rosy. Like,
yeah, my skin has turned super red. Like there's something wrong. Something is wrong with me. I don't know. Very excited.
Cons, what about you?
Speaking of Kate, so far we've raised exactly $5 to eject Kate out of a fighter jet.
Yes, thank you for all the donors.
But we have an update.
Thank you to my buddy Brian.
We have an update on that. There's an F-16 pilot that reached out to me and he was like, you guys can't do that. Kate will die. Like, well.
All right, well, I don't want her to die.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, so.
I'll have to return that $5.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Lyle reached out and he was Kaya, the service dog who passed away recently. He was the handler of Kaya. And he was like, nothing's set in stone or anything, but I might have some connections. Would you like me to link you up with somebody who might possibly be able to help you guys get in and I was like, we talk a big game. That's so kind of you. There's no way any of us physically would ever be allowed to
Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Of celebrities.
What are you talking about?
I don't think you guys would survive it.
Absolutely, we would.
A loop-de-loop.
Yes, we would.
Yeah, no. I weigh 195 and 6 foot. Like I'm in decent shape.
Chaps, you can't keep your head straight.
True, but if I was in there, they would have me locked in.
It would snap right off. And no offense, Cons. Cons, I say this with all due respect and with well awareness that we have an HR department now. That wagon, going a full loop-de-loop. You think that's not going to suck you upside down and spin you around?
I don't know. We'll see.
All your blood would go right to it. It'd be enormous afterwards. I don't think.
I can't believe you would, of all things, say that we're not physically prepared to do that.
How many G's do you think your ass could take, Cons?
This ass could take 9 G's.
Wow. That's a lot of G's for the old
Have
butt.
you seen my butt? Have you seen my butt?
I have, yeah, many a times. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think
Anything
we're.
else, Cons?
Yeah. So I was watching on Friday. I was watching that Netflix documentary, The Murdaugh Murders. Have you both watched those yet?
Yeah, buddy.
Girl. Yes, I have.
I haven't watched the show, but I've been keeping it up on the old talk.
That family is nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just terrible, terrible people.
And the guy looks like he did it. I don't.
Oh, I mean,
trust
he absolutely
anyone.
did.
Yeah, a lawyer
did.
like that with red wavy hair, guilty.
Yeah. Sorry about it. I said my first indication that this family was bad news was how willy-nilly they mispronounced their own names.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange. The whole case.
Very odd,
Highly
very
recommend if you're bored and you're stuck on Post, look into that one.
So speaking of, that led me to think, what shows did you both watch while deployed that you watched it for the first time ever?
Scrubs.
Okay.
We got really into, and I hate horror films, but we got really into horror films. I think we were so bored in the off times that they are entertaining in a stupid sense. We watched like a
they're
ton
good
of
for
horror
talking
movies.
too, like back and forth. If you're not like super into it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I did for the first time I watched How I Met Your Mother, which I absolutely loved.
Yes.
One Tree Hill, which I thought I was going to hate, which I ended up loving, which was great.
I'm surprised you thought you were going to hate that because you love all that shit like OC and all those kind of shows.
Yeah, maybe because it was on the CW or WB, whatever it was back then. So I thought maybe the quality was a little bit less. But that's just goes to show, don't judge a book by its cover, because I ended up loving One Tree Hill and finished it when I got home. But I think those were the only two shows that I started. Everything else I had already seen before, but those two stick out. So
that documentary that you're talking about, there was also another case that I was watching, keeping track of this weekend, where it was a guy in Florida who had done 3 murders whenever he was like 20 or something like that. And then he escaped from prison, went back to prison, killed a guard, and then they put him in essentially solitary confinement at that place I was telling you about, ADX. And whenever he was there, he went back on trial for killing the guard. And whenever he was there, because it happened in Florida, he told the judge, I want the death penalty. Give me the death penalty. Like over and over again. Final sentencing, he got rid of his attorneys, told the judge straight to his face, I want the death penalty. The judge takes like 2 weeks deciding on what he should do, if he should grant this or not. He comes back and he gives his sentence and he grants it. Like he said, yes, you're going to get the death penalty because of what you've done. If I had somebody that did all those heinous things and they say, I want the death penalty because I'll be alone, I'll have my own cell, nobody will be able to bother me, I won't have to go out to the yard. If I was the judge, I'd be like, hell no, dude, you're going to fucking max security prison and you're going to be in general population for the rest of your natural life. And the guy basically celebrated when he got the death penalty. I would be like, take it back, make him go to fucking general population. So
this isn't BK where you get to have it your way.
Right,
no.
Exactly.
Tell him.
You want the death penalty is an easy way out.
Exactly. Make that person suffer.
It is. So. I mean, honestly.
Anyway.
Kate, if you go, no, we're going to keep this going. If you went to prison and you knew that you were going to go for the rest of your life without the possibility of parole, buddy, kill me already.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there who didn't want that and who maybe turned out to be innocent.
Well, yeah, if you're innocent,
like it's a tricky thing.
But if you know you did it and you're not going to get off on appeal, no matter what, like this guy, like they had him on video stabbing somebody 65 times. You're not getting out. Give me the death penalty 1,000,000 times out of them.
Can we talk about that really quickly too? How in 2023, listen, I'm going to go on the record. Okay. Murder is wrong, reprehensible, morally not good. Okay. Aside from those things, you got to be an idiot, I think, to try to commit murder in 2023 with all the technology that we have.
Yeah.
Because I think no matter what, you could think about it for years on end on how you're going to try to murder someone. You're going to forget something. Or by the time you do it, there's going to be new technology that's going to figure you out some way, shape, or form. I think it's nearly impossible to commit a crime these days.
That dude in Idaho, for example, he drove from Washington to Idaho, did it, and then went back. And they have like his cell phone tower bings. Like, who was in here that normally isn't? Like, you aren't getting away with shit now.
No.
Just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, all right. I don't really have anything after. Oh, wait, I do. So my kid has been working. I told you, fast food place.
Right. Yeah.
Me and Cardi went in for a little sit down.
Oh.
And got like the meals and sat down. Kelsey thought she was King Dingaling, bringing us out like ice cream and all kinds of extras. And like we left with cookies and all that stuff. And then she texted whenever she was like, it made my day that you guys came.
Oh, I love that.
It was so sweet. So sweet. And Cardi, we had like a daddy baby date yesterday. We went to Bass Pro and Cardi got to hold their first gun ever.
Yeah.
So I let them hold a Beretta and they held a revolver too. And I kept my hand on it at all times and all that shit. But there was a funny moment when the guy brought it out. He brought out the Beretta out of the case and I rack it back to like show it's clear before I hand it to McCartney. And Cardi goes, "Whoa, Dad, how did you know how to do that?" And I was like,
I've been around
some guns, man.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy though? When the first time, probably not the first time or first time seeing a weapon live, it's just so different because you only ever seen it on TV or movies, maybe.
Yeah.
Then you see it live, you're like, wait, is that really what it looks like or what it feels like?
And then you feel it and you don't expect it to be that heavy either.
Yes.
Like when it's in your hand, you're like, whoa,
always heavier.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have an M9 made out of tungsten. Not to brag. It's 45 pounds.
Yeah, you hardly ever pull that thing up. Cardi also put the shotgun and they're just a little 20 gauge shotgun, short nose, and had it in. They felt so awesome. It was a really good time. Then we played with the boats, looked at the fish. Great time. I recommend Bass Pro if you're a dad. Just bring or mom. Just bring them in.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Sound the retreat.